emphasize this week. Maybe you don't know much yet about quarterbacks. Obviously, Cam started the other night. Taven, is he going to be available this week or just kind of wait and see?
I think we're going to have all hands on deck. So now it comes down to who gives us the best chance. And honestly, probably that'll come down to a coach's decision and who practices better this week.
Scott, you guys are at the midway point of the season. How do you assess where you guys are right now at this point, and what do you like, what do you don't like, and where do you think you guys will improve this?
You know, it sounds like Coach speak. There was a lot of positive to take from Saturday, and that's true. Really liked the fight of our team, and I told them that afterwards. I knew this year was going to be a growth process because just of our relative inexperience and 70 new players. It would be really nice to be 4-2, 5-1 right now, and we had our chances. Like I said, I don't think we were outmatched in any one of those 3 games. We just got to execute better, and that falls on the coaching staff and the players just to keep finding ways throughout this season to keep improving, and we're going to have a chance in every game. So there's no reason we can't do some special things here down the road.
You mentioned needing to execute better and keep fighting. The Knights have been in very close games the past 3 weeks. What needs to change to get over this slump that you guys are in, and what's the confidence level in the room?
I think the confidence level is fine. I really liked the frustration but togetherness of the team in the locker room after the game. When you're learning new things and coming together as a football team, it's not always going to happen the same. It's going to happen different every time. And when you're not experienced, then new situations can affect you different every time. At Kansas State, I didn't think we start very fast. At Kansas, we did start fast. And then one thing that's common is just key mistakes at the wrong times right now. And like I said, we're going to keep coaching those things, but we kind of got to be in those situations and experience them and then handle them better the next time.
You just mentioned mistakes. What has to change during a week of practice to reduce or eliminate the mistakes you're seeing on Saturday?
Yeah, we talked about that a lot. It's not changing the formula. The formula has worked and will work. But if we need to alter it and not be doggedly committed to one way of doing things, then we will, and we'll find little ways to tweak practice to make sure that we're getting exactly what we need. It's hard to recreate with a defense like we played last week. It's hard to recreate all the looks that we were going to get from them because it was a little different every time, and that's the biggest thing is when the looks aren't exactly what we practiced. You still just got to fall back on your rules and execute, and I think that's where we can get a little bit better.
So is that a lack of discipline that comes into
No, again, it's not discipline. It's experience. You're expecting to have a combo block off to this guy, and then they blitz inside, and the guy you were going to combo to disappears to another spot, and somebody else shows up, and you got to be a good enough football player to come off the combo to a safety instead of a linebacker. Those kind of things happen over the course of a game. Now the false starts and things of that nature at key times, that's concerning to me, and we got to keep addressing that and make sure, because they don't seem to be happening when everything's going smooth. They happen at key moments, and we got to make sure and fix that.
Coach, from your perspective, I know we've been talking about a lot of penalties and all hands, all deck. For one, it feels like, with a lot of the rotation, a lot of guys changing up with injuries, that's part of the challenge too. But from a coaching perspective, I'm not looking for the playbook or anything like that, but are there any drills you can run or any techniques that you're using to try to get over those mental stumps?
No, I think it's just keep practicing. Again, we can try to make practice a little more game-like. It's kind of hard to explain, but you have to do enough in practice to execute the plays you're putting in for the game on offense to make sure that the guys know their scheme and know the adjustments depending on what we're going to get. If you try to run all those reps 100 miles an hour, you're going to kill your guys. So we just have to be smart about making sure they know their stuff and getting enough game speed reps to make sure that they're ready to not just execute it, but execute it well.
So, and it's that challenge then of balancing health with trying to get maximized experience in practice before game day, I guess is what we're hearing.
Yeah, but it's not unique to us. That's football in general. having just come from the NFL, they have more walkthroughs than they do practice plays. But a lot of those guys have been playing football for a long time, and you can just get sitting in a meeting room and say, hey, we're altering this and changing this, and you're going to run this route on this play, and they write it down, and they're good. We have a team that needs more reps than that. But again, you can't take 300 reps of practice on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, or you won't be able to run on Saturdays. So it's growth, and we're going to try to be as smart with it as we can.
After watching the film, do you feel like the receivers are getting enough separation against opposing coverages? And how do you try to maybe scheme guys open and make things more consistent and explosive in passing?
Well, I think that's the big thing right now is we're really good sometimes. We throw to the right guy sometimes. We block really well sometimes. We run the route precisely sometimes, and we catch it sometimes. And defensively was good, but we busted a couple coverages, so we're in the right coverage sometimes. And that needs to be most of the time or all the time, and then we become really good. But again, that's a process.
Coach, you have Rich Rodriguez coming to town this week, same position as you, returning to an old team. Just what's it like to have some, I guess, another kindred spirit coaching against you this weekend?
Well, first thing I want to say about Coach Rodriguez is after what happened with Coach Clark passing away, man, I got a big envelope of letters from, I think, everybody in their athletic department, individually written and signed. And I think that speaks to the class of who Coach Rodriguez is, and obviously the people in that athletic department too. So I want to say thank you for that. We received a lot of notes and messages, but I opened the envelope and all the cards fell out, and it's a lot of them. And I thought that was a really high character thing to do.
Coach, this past weekend with Cam Fancher out there, he basically looked like Houdini on some of those plays, getting out of avoiding the sack and things like that. What were you seeing out there from him?
In the course of a game, you can scheme everything up and try to hit as much as you can based off the plays you designed. But there's going to be 5 or 6, sometimes 3, sometimes 10 plays that break down, and you have a quarterback that can turn those plays into good plays. Then you extend drives, and that makes you even better. I thought he did a great job of that. There shouldn't have been as much running around as he had to do Saturday. If we protect a little better, get balls off on time, run a little cleaner routes. I don't want a quarterback looking like Fran Tarkenton back there and running around. We got to be a little better and more precise with our execution, so that only has to happen once in a while. But I thought he played tough and did a good job with that.
Carter Miller the other day at center, there's some uncharacteristic things from him, the penalties, the low snaps. Was that kind of an off game for them, or was Cincinnati kind of doing something to throw him off?
They had a really good player lined up, head up with him at nose, and I don't know. He was in a battle, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it. There were a couple snaps that were off, and we haven't had that problem all through spring ball, fall camp, into this point in the season. So we'll talk to him about it, but I don't want to make something that's not a thing either. But those can hurt you, and we had a couple broken plays because of it.
What have you thought about his game this entire season, though? He's been pretty solid, though.
Carter's great. We have 70 new players. I think the coaching staff and recruiting department did a great job bringing guys in. Again, we leaned on talent, maybe over experience, because that's what we could get. I think we have a lot of talented guys. Carter is a guy definitely that we're really glad to have here, and he's one of the bell cows of what we're trying to do on offense, and hopefully will be for a while.
Coaches, obviously you guys have had a positive mindset just after last game. Just more specifically, what's kind of the overall message you're sending to the team leading up to the game against West Virginia?
We just got to play our best, and we got to play 4 quarters. And the guys have been close now a few weeks in a row and had opportunities 3 weeks in a row. We got to capitalize on it. And what happened in the first 3 weeks didn't affect the next 3, and what happened in the last 3 won't affect the next 3. We're a 500 football team right now. We got a chance this week to try to be 1 over 500 if we play well, and that's what we need to focus on, doing little things a little better this week and trying to improve.
Coach, going back to the quarterbacks, you mentioned a little while ago that felt like a revolving door between all the injuries. Now going into this week, after seeing both Taven Jackson and Cam Fancher get real playing time and being able to establish themselves on the field, is it going to feel a little bit different kind of choosing quarterback than, say, against Jacksonville State?
Well, this is the first time we've kind of had both those two guys since game one, since the first quarter and a half, I guess, of game one, both guys healthy. And I think you guys can see now through limited reps compared to what we've seen, what we thought coming out of camp. Both guys do some things really well and are good enough to help us win if we play well around them and execute well. So, again, we'll let them compete in practice this week, and it'll probably be a coach's decision.
Scott, with having so many injuries at quarterback and rotating guys, have you guys found yourself having to limit your playbook a little bit, or are you still pretty much giving everything open for everyone? They're just able to handle it.
With the relative inexperience in the scheme with everybody in our program, this is year one for everybody in our scheme, offensively and defensively. We're trying to limit the total number of plays that we go into a game with a little bit. The biggest difference to me is just the inability to really make adjustments, and that'll come. But some of the concepts that we have that we should be able to run out of any formation against anything, it should be a go over to the sideline and tell them instead of running this, we're running this, or we're running the same thing out of this formation, and it ought to be done. But we're still growing in that, and that's typical year one stuff.
You loosely referred to it earlier here, Coach, but, with the past game, had nearly 40 minutes of time of possession. What challenge does that bring as you're coaching through that now that you've seen the film and all of that, and what's some of the stuff you can take perhaps maybe to apply to the next week?
We have to not make critical errors on drives that stop drives, and we did that several times. And then, if you watch Cincinnati and as aggressive as they are, when the game's tight, other teams hit big plays on them, and we didn't hit enough explosives. We had opportunities to. We hit one explosive and we're lined up wrong. I think we dropped a ball. We had a deep ball that was wide open, and we kind of underthrew it a little bit. After they got up 14 points, we weren't going to get behind them as much, and then we just kind of had to earn it. But, the week before, or 2 weeks before, KU hit a 93-yard pass and a 75-yard pass, and we had our chances to do that, and we didn't connect on them, which meant we had to sustain drives, and we did that until we didn't. And it's got to be more consistency and a little more explosiveness.
Stacey Gage saw some action in this one. What does he bring to your offense?
He brings depth. He's a really talented player. He's growing up too, and we got to make sure that he's doing the right thing with exactly the right technique all the time. But again, that's not unique to him. That's kind of who our team at least was at the start of the season, is a lot of young guys with some talent that are learning how to do this the right way. And Stacey will continue to get better.
What does he bring different than Miles, Jaden?
I really like our running back room. Miles is a warrior. Jaden's been huge for us with some of the big plays that he's able to create. Stacey's a little bigger and more powerful, but kind of the same type of back as the other two.
Coach, Jaden Williams has been out now for a couple of weeks. You're just able to give us an update on his status and other players that have just been looking at as far as.
Yeah, Jaden had a broken thumb, and they fixed it surgically, and the surgery failed on him, and so he had to go back in and get a pin in his thumb. It'll probably be another couple weeks is the last report that I got. So he's got to get the pin out of his thumb, and then I think he'll be able to hopefully be able to come back and help us.
West Virginia, like you guys, has overturned virtually its entire roster. They've also had a lot of injuries throughout the course of the season. What are you noticing on film about what they do well and how they've adapted to all the things that have happened in their season?
Well, offensively, I know it's been said a lot, but I think Rich Rod was one of the guys that kind of changed what college football looks like. I was around Chip Kelly, and I don't think he gets enough credit for how college football and offenses have changed, and that's leaked into all levels of college football, but Coach Rodriguez is definitely one of those. I know they're going to be creative on that side of the ball. Defensively, I think they're blitzing, according to our reports, 61% of the time. So we got to have answers for all that, and they're really mixing up looks and not staying in anything so that you can't really dial them in, and that presents challenges for us. Probably presents challenges for them too to make sure they can get all that lined up to formations and tempo and everything. So it'll be an interesting chess match.
How important is this game to just have a breakthrough and get a win? They're going through a similar rebuild like you are, but 3 losses now. The players, you say the fight is still there, but this is a really important game to turn the corner this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can keep trying to put more emphasis on one than any other, and that's not the way we're going to look at it around here. We got to practice well this week, get a little bit better, and then take a chance to win another game, and it's going to be the same every week. We got to practice well, install well tonight, practice well on Tuesday, practice well on Wednesday. I think we got a good opportunity this week, just like we've had the last 3 weeks, and we need to cash in on one. And I think once we get one here in conference, I think the confidence will blossom. But I don't care what happened here before or anywhere else. This team isn't going to quit. They're going to keep going, and I think you'll see that Saturday.
With this Saturday being the homecoming game for UCF against West Virginia, I mean, what does that mean for you, especially with this being sort of a homecoming for you back at UCF?
Yeah, homecomings are great. They're even better if you can win the game. But I know it means a lot on campus, and hopefully there's some guys that come back and are proud of the program, and hopefully there's some guys that I coached several years ago that I get to say hi to. It's a special weekend.
Coach, midway through the full season, 3 games into the conference season, what's been the biggest adjustment for you in Big 12 play?
Yeah, I don't see it any different than the first 3 games. It's just based on opponent and us making decisions to try to put the players in the best place to have a chance to win each game. And I've said this a bunch, but I think this league's really even. I think there's a lot of parity. I think any week, if we play well, we're going to have a chance to win, and if we don't play well, we probably won't. But that's not any different than our first 3 games. And if we play a little better the last few weeks, we probably have a good chance of having a little different record right now, but we can change that this week.
Scott, what stood out to you about your defense so far through the first half of the season? I mean, they seem to be the group that seems to really have kind of gelled quickly through the first half.
Yeah. Anytime you have a lot of new, I think defense can usually get ready quicker. I think that's been the case. We have some special players on defense. And I was really impressed Saturday with the fight. We busted a couple coverages. Otherwise, they didn't do a whole lot on us, and we need to fix that. I think our defense can go from being really good to elite if we are a little more consistent and don't have the breakdowns. But you're going to talk to Nyjalik. We have some special players on that side of the ball that can make special plays. I think the fight was really evident. Even at the end of the game, we were down 9. And, the game was probably out of reach at that point, and we still got to stop. And I think that says a lot about how hard those guys are playing and fighting for each other.
All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Coach. All right, Cam, it seems like the offensive line has been plagued by penalty issues this season. Kind of what needs to happen, whether it's preparation before the game. How do you try to limit that going forward? Because it's been a real big issue.
I just say we just need to handle adversity better. Just continue to fall back on the training that we do have, and just continue to move on to the next play and understand that if they do happen, that we can't just keep doing it. We continue to shoot ourselves in the foot, so we got to just figure out how we can get better at that.
Cam, you guys are halfway through the season now. What has impressed you, I guess, about this group so far through the first half, and where do you kind of see the team taking the next step over the second half?
I would say the resiliency and the encouragement I feel in the locker room. Like we look at each other and we're like, we lost this game. They didn't necessarily win it. So when you can look in a locker room and guys are understanding that this is on us. Like we are good enough to win these games. It's very encouraging to see the team, and then we just come out and come to work the next day.
And how frustrating is it? You see the offense driving in a close game and then false start after false start, and what does that kind of do to you guys in the huddle and guys trying to get back into shape?
It's definitely frustrating, but like I said before, it's a next play mentality. You can't let one play beat you twice, just like you can't let one team beat you twice. So you have to continue to learn how to move on from those things for sure.
How would you assess the O-line from a run blocking standpoint through halfway this season?
I feel like we're gelling together. You know, we've been rotating some guys, so it's been good to get those reps with each other, especially in a game. There's nothing like real game reps. I feel like we're getting to a point where we can communicate and do what needs to be done every play.
There were 2 drives in that game there that combined for 36 plays. You guys had 40 minutes time of possession. For one, does at some point fatigue kind of start again where that mental game gets involved?
I would say it does, but at the same time, we've been training since January for this. So when you're tired and you can look over across the ball and see that that person's more tired than you are, it makes you go harder that next play for sure.
And I saw that smile. Like, there is some element. Obviously, we would talk about penalties. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. But as an O-lineman, there's some pride to be said that you controlled the ball that far. How valuable is that for an offense?
It's good when you come off a field, and you just had a 22 play drive. And obviously, it's better to come up with points. But when you're on the field, just executing like that, play in and play out, it's encouraging because you know that you can do it. We just have to figure out how to finish and how to execute at the end of those drives.
Since the first game of the year, you guys have kind of rotated guards. I know you and Jabari have kind of gone on the field at similar times, and Guard and Keegan have been out there.
Mm-hmm.
How has that rotation worked, and how have you guys kind of adjusted to those split reps?
I feel like it's been good. Both groups are just adjusting to when your numbers called, you go out there and execute. At the end of the day, we're out there to score points, and if it's me and Jabari or Guard and Keegan in there, it does not matter. At the end of the day, it's the result is what's important for sure.
One thing I noticed with some of the runs last time is there was a little open space later before the tackle was able to get made. How are you guys able to kind of keep the blocking up the longer the play goes on to keep holes open?
If you want me to be honest, I couldn't tell you. I just hit someone and keep my feet running. But there's drill work for that. We do some finishing drills, just understanding that that extra block springs that play from 3 to 8 yards, and then third quarter it's 8 to 20, and then that last drive when the game's on the line it's 20 to a house call. So just understanding that my strain is getting my running back more yards and keeping that defense on the sideline, kicking their feet up, it's what makes it worth it.
As an O-lineman, there's been a revolving door of quarterbacks for this team throughout the year. How do you keep chemistry with those guys, and what have you seen from each of them?
Just talking to them. You just got to lift your quarterbacks up. They're in a battle just as much as we are. So just understanding that whatever a quarterback coach puts out there, it's our job to protect for them. It's our job to make them feel comfortable so that they can go out there and execute at the highest.
You guys have had chances in these 3 Big 12 games, just whatever it is, can't pull them out. How important is it to get a win this week against West Virginia? They're a rebuilding team, much like UCF. It's at home. You guys definitely feel like you've turned the corner. So how important is a win this Saturday?
I'm going to echo what Coach Frost said about that. It's just another game, but obviously a win is important. But, it's just another game. We got to come into work, have a good practice tonight, and then have 2 good practices on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll feel great going into Saturday.
Obviously, like earlier we mentioned how some drives were just cut short from penalties. Just how do you kind of just fix that just going into the week, and how do you just keep a positive mindset going into the rest of the week?
Just continuing to stay disciplined and execute, when things get tough, when we do get tired in practice, just remember that, that's why we're doing this practice. That's why we're doing these plays, this drive, just to understand that, we have to continue to execute, play in and play out for sure.
What's your confidence level the team can turn it around?
Extremely high. Like I said, when you're going into a locker room and guys are very encouraged that, they didn't necessarily beat us, but we lost. Those are things that we can control. So when we control those things, we're going to be a very hard team to stop.
Coach talked a little bit about the impact still being felt with the loss of Coach Clark. How about for you guys? Is it still something that maybe kind of hangs on the room a little?
Yeah, it's something that we're still working through. I would definitely say football has kind of helped us because we've had something to kind of take our attention away from it. But there are times where it does hit a little harder. So I would just say we have to continue to lean on each other. I feel like that's there's a reason why this team was put together, and God has a plan, and sometimes that loss was made to bring this team together and help us to lean on each other. So that's what I say about that.
It's tough to follow that up with a football question, Cam, but let me go with this. We did talk about the penalties a little bit. You heard Coach Frost talk about reps. From an individual player standpoint, is there something you do or something you guys go over in practice? I don't know if it's herbal tea and meditation at night, whatever it is, man, but is there something extra you're doing or the team is doing in practice to focus on reducing penalty numbers?
Just making it an emphasis, when we do go through drills, when we do go through things, like if someone makes up, we kind of, let them know that this is why this is happening so we can continue to improve on that for sure.
What has Coach Hope brought to the room so far?
I'd say an unbelievable amount of energy. He's excited to be back out there. So when you find someone that stepped away from football and then they come back to football, it makes you understand how important football is and how lucky you are to be playing this sport for sure.
Anything specific on technique that you shared?
He's made Coach Clark who he is because Coach Clark worked for him. So it's been refreshing to hear some of the same terminology and some of the same coaching points just be reiterated by him. So it's kind of having like a little angel Coach Clark in the room with us. So that's really nice.
Cam, Coach Frost talked about how the fight of this team has been really incredible so far this season. You got your fourth chance to get your first Big 12 win this weekend. How do you guys just kind of keep that fight going so far?
Like I said before, the encouraging aspect of we are losing these games, not the other team necessarily winning. We are shooting ourselves in the foot and not executing. That focus and that grit is going to help us to reduce those mistakes and come out with a win for sure.
All right, thanks, Cam.
Thank y'all.
The word fight a lot from coaches, Coach Grinch, Coach Frost. Just talk about the defense's fight because, Cincinnati, they get up to a lead and, you're continuing to fight back and keeping UCF in it, pretty much kept them out of the end zone in the second half. Just talk about the fight you've seen from your teammates on your side.
I'm very proud with the fight our defense, like how we've been playing no matter what the score is, what the predicament is, what situation we get put in, we just fight and just play another down. That's just how we've been training this off season. That's just what's being put out there on the field.
What have you're at the halfway point of the season. What's impressed you the most about this team through the first 6 games?
Just the way we fought, just the way the defense carried themselves this year, and just despite our record, nobody like the locker room not separating. That's just what excites me the most.
Have you guys taken an extra step of pride on defense, knowing the offense has been struggling the past few games, but knowing that you can keep the team in the game, especially late in games?
Of course. If the offense scored 10 points, we should only let up 9. So I don't feel like it's just the offense fault why the record is the way it is, because we supposed to give up less points. So if we give up less points, we'll win more games.
Coach Grinch has talked about the need for the defense to create more turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
You've been close. What's the breakthrough? What needs to happen?
Just getting after that ball when we're in pals, when it's like 4 people on one person, just one guy punching out the ball, getting interceptions, being in place within the play, just getting the ball out. That's the only thing we can do.
What's it like to be in that pile, fighting to get that ball out?
Being under the pile is not really fun because a bunch of people on top of you, but being in the pile and being the aggression between everybody in the pile is fun, but just not being under the pile.
Let's take you to a little bit more of a fun space. You and Malachi on the outside have been dealing with mobile quarterbacks. It feels like at least that you guys have done a better job in containing that group. What has gone better for you? What has been practiced different? Is it Alex Grinch's system? What is it that's helping you guys contain the mobile quarterbacks a little better?
I just feel like just learning the person next to you. I feel like after a year playing with Mally, I know how he rush. He know how I rush. So it's easier playing off of each other. Like I know when he go inside where the quarterback's gonna go. If he's setting the edge, I'm coming off the other edge. If I'm setting the edge, he coming off the other edge. Just knowing where each other gonna be throughout the play. Me and him talking to each other, watching film with each other, with Coach Dawson, that just help us just learn each other. So I feel like that's just what's keeping us to playing the way we playing.
Beyond the stats, what sort of role is John Walker playing for your guys' defense, especially against the run?
He the force. I feel like the stats not there because John Walker get all the double teams. I feel like they're keying John Walker more as the D tackles play. So his stats not there right now, but he's definitely doing a lot for our team. I mean, if he's getting a double team, that means the other tackle is getting the one-on-ones. So I just tell him just keep fighting. I mean, you had a good season your first year, so ain't nobody gonna really not key you. So he just gotta keep going.
Naturally, you had Sincere out there as well. I've noticed quite a good amount of tackle for loss for him, given the amount of snaps he's gotten. Just what's it been like working with him this season, and what else can we see from going forward?
It been great working with Sincere. I mean, he listens. He wants to learn. When he first got here, and we was doing bench press, and I forgot to do one rep. He got on me, so I just feel like he's hungry. He's willing to learn. He's willing to teach, and that's the type of player you need on your team. One that's listen, one that talks, and one that's ready to fight.
Coming up against West Virginia this week, they rank 8th in the country in rushing attempts. How are you guys preparing for such a heavy rushing attack?
The same way we prepare every week. I mean, every team has average these amount of yards, and when they end up coming to us, they don't really get it. So I know Coach Grinch is going to have a perfect scheme or a well enough scheme for us to stop whatever they like to do. And when we talk about that game plan, then we'll have the game plan for the week.
Coming home to the Balance House, how important is it to get a win this week?
It's very important. It's no more important than every other week. You want to win every week. So this week is just like last week or just like the week before. We always want to get a win.
You talked on how you guys got to keep your heads up after these losses, and we've heard that from coaches and as well as Cam Kinnie. What is it exactly that you guys get to tell each other after after these games, after these losses, and even after the wins?
After the wins, there's not really too much to say because you won. But after losses, it's just like I don't point fingers. So when we lose, I'll be like to the DNs, we gotta get more pressure. We gotta get more tackles. We gotta get off the field earlier. If it was one play that it was our fault where it was a big run, we gotta stop it right here because if we would have stopped it right here, we would have got off the field earlier, and it would have put the offense in a better position. So I don't really point fingers when it's a loss or when it's a win. I just look to what I need to do or what our group need to do or what the defense need to do because we can only control ourselves. We can't control or point fingers because that's what divides the team.
Nyjalik, you were a part of a team last season that had similar struggles in October to where you guys are having now, but does it feel different this time around?
I mean, every loss feels the same, but I feel this team can get through it better than last year's teams because of how together we are this year.
What's that togetherness like? What about that says you guys can get through it?
Just us not pointing any fingers. I mean, don't like to talk about last year, but last year was a lot of, oh, it's their fault. Oh, it's this person's fault. Oh, it's you. And this year, everybody just trying to work on themselves and not pointing any fingers. They're like, oh, I didn't do this. We didn't do this. We could have did this better. I could have did this better. Instead of saying you is more of a me.
Nyjalik, it's a big week for campus. Obviously, the homecoming game coming up. There's going to be a lot of extra energy in the stadium. Does it add any excitement to you going into this game?
Of course, it adds excitement. A lot of alumni coming this week. A lot of people that never came to a game this year is coming this week just based off of homecoming. So it should be an electric game and another Big 12 matchup for us to hopefully win.
Nyjalik, I never met a defensive end that didn't think with aggression first. That being said, we're talking about a team coming in here that's going to run the ball a lot. That means run fits. That means discipline. That means patience. How do you keep yourself patient in those situations?
I mean, I just play through the scheme. I mean, when I first got in college, people said I really couldn't play the run. But I never knew I had a problem with the run. But just setting the edge. If I got to go inside, just play through the scheme. If they like to run the ball, I like to stop the run. So it's hand in hand.
All right. Thanks, Nyjalik.
Thank you.